Stream is live.
Lovely.
Actually, I need someone to change the stream title.
Oh, here, I've got perms.
Oh, sick.
I'm technically an admin here. We're doing week 2, day 2, and this is
Wait, did Tygoon and Chicken the Wings switch roles again after last week?
this is how they were the last time I saw them play, but that was a few BTL seasons back.
Yeah, last week they were playing Tygoon support, Chicken top lane.
That's wild. Fair enough. Chicken was always a super solid support, too, so...
But if they're in order, it looks like they're swapping again. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I can post the...
All right. Well, before draft begins, I think we could probably talk a little bit about today's matchup. We've got Knights of Ishtar versus the Mingos. Mingos being new to BTL as of last season, and placing I think second. And Knights of Ishtar, who were not present last season, however, they did win the season before last after taking a break, coming back to play again. I was looking at the power rankings that were put out yesterday by Indefiance and Stevie, and they both have Mingos over Knights of Ishtar.
Yeah, I'd be a little hesitant to believe that here just because of how long this particular group of 5 here for Knights of Ishtar has been playing together. They have been here in BTL season after season after season with this exact lineup, Lakey. So even if the Mingos are individually more skilled, there's something to be said for team cohesion that you just can't pull off of numbers.
Absolutely, I would agree, especially if it's looking like top end support are switching again, which last week they lost because they kind of did get gapped in the top. I'm curious if making that switch back to their original lineup is what they need to get going again this season.
Yeah, this is the lineup that I remember very well from BTL season 14, where they spent the first half of the season just forgetting how to play the game. They went 0-5 in the regular season and then turned it on. They ran all the way through the gauntlet, they ran all the way through the playoffs, and they took the championship after losing the first 5 matches 0-2. So, seeing Tygoon up in the top lane, seeing Chicken back in the support role, that's given me a lot of hope that these KOI guys are going to be bringing their A game today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see how this game goes. The Mingos, too, are a kind of special group of players. They definitely have some of their own unique ways of playing. I don't... Part of me remembers Zulfer being their support last split, and I don't know if that's still the case. But TJ Lanier plays some... At least last season, he played some very interesting picks. He was, I think, the only person who ever played Aurora top. He is very comfortable on things like Shen, which we don't see a lot of other play on, and he's been able to be successful in splitting and then using that Shen ult when needed. So I'm definitely very interested to see how this game's going to play out.
Yeah, absolutely. Shen has always been a soft spot for me. Was a Shen one trick for a few seasons here, so seeing Shen back on the Rift after a long, long time where he's been pretty well forgotten and left to the annals of history here feels pretty great. And of course, as you said right at the start, this is a Mingos team that did go very, very far last season. I believe you even said that they won, so...
No, I think
they
got second place, I believe. If I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but I think DPS ended up winning. But looks like draft is starting. And just like we kind of expected, Nefiri being the first ban immediately makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, Riot has overtuned the heck out of the dog with her little rework. And nobody wants to play it, nobody wants to play against it, because turns out raffle stomping your lane is not fun.
I will say, it is, honestly, like, thinking about how drafts usually would play out, I'm kind of surprised it's banned on blue side. Because if blue side, because you have first pick, kind of has the opportunity to not ban overpowered picks, forcing the other team to use a ban on it. So I wouldn't call it a wasted ban, but definitely a ban that they could have baited the other team into taking them as well, unless they also have no plan on picking it, like you said.
Yeah, but by the other token, if you go ahead and ban it, then you throw off KOI as they're thinking about their bans, because they expected to have to ban it here on the red side. So now Mingo's perhaps going to pull out something very interesting in this B1 that could be defining for this early part of the series. As elsewhere in the bans, Draven, not one that we normally see at the super high levels of play. Jinx has been doing very well recently, Gwen has been doing well recently, Rel has been doing very well recently. But it's that Draven and Kindred that are much more targeted bans here.
Absolutely. The Corki been strong for a while now after the rework to make him an ADC and or move him from more of a caster to an actual attacker based champion, and has kind of remained strong since. So not super surprised to see him there, although I think he has fallen a little bit out of the competitive meta, but still strong.
Yeah, seeing B1 priority on him is certainly a little bit surprising here, but we're going to have to see. It's very easy to build a team around Corki to take advantage of that strong poke identity. So there's plenty of opportunities for Mingos to make the most of this pick.
Absolutely. And then matching with the Xayah, just I think also a very strong overall AD carry, who has a lot of self-peel with that ult. And then a Braum immediately go with it. Personally, I might have saved support a little longer here. Braum is a very strong champ, but I would usually say is better as a counter support matchup than just to straight pick. And with Xayah, obviously, you might kind of be looking for things like Rakan as well, with just that inherent pairing. But
Controversial opinion. I think the Lover's Lane is one of the worst pairings for Xayah. It just always feels underwhelming when I see it, even at high levels of competitive play.
that's valid for sure. That's valid. Um, yeah, and like I said, Brahm's still very strong baseline pick, anyways. So not gonna complain with that, especially with the poke that Mingos have already kind of built in with Corki and now an Ari.
The Braum here, I feel, kind of fills the same niche as a Silas, where on the one hand, you can pick at red 5 and counter the entire enemy team once they've built an identity. But on the other hand, if you see them picking something like Corki, where it's clear that they're going to want to go into a poke comp, you can pick the Braum early like KOI did and force them to pivot midway through.
And with the Nautilus, I think that's actually a Braum favored matchup. Braum is really strong into other melee engage champs just because of his shield and being able to proc his passive on a melee champ really easily. So not. I think I probably would have opted into some sort of enchanter into Braum. So interesting to see how the Nautilus plays out. But then matching the Ari with a Vigar.
Yeah, okay. On the one hand, if I recall correctly from way back in season 14, this was one of Ventro's favorite picks. Loved the Vigar, loved to play it in the mid lane, did quite well on it. As far as it goes into the Ari, the cage does work on the Spirit Rush, but it only works once, and Ari has more dashes than one. So I
Absolutely.
don't love this matchup for the Vigar here unless he can get to that point where he's just pressing the R button and deleting her from full health.
I will say Cage is useful for more than just her. Corki's a very short range ADC. Nautilus, an engaged champ that has to walk at people, so really able to good like disengage and spacing tool that also really counters engage that Nautilus might want to do.
Moving through the second set of bans here, though, we've got 3 junglers in that Shen that you called out in pre-draft. That's a really tight pool now in the jungle for both of these junglers. Is what I'm seeing 4 or 5 junglers banned, depending on how you look at things.
Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, jungle has a lot of champs that can really be picked, right? In a comp like Knights of Ishtar, who are kind of wanting to fight front to back, disengagey, something like Poppy, top or jungle, or even the Viego that they just locked in, very strong.
And Viego works very well here, especially in the unhappy event for Knights of Ishtar, where either this Corki or Ari pops off. If they're able to find a pick with that Viego, suddenly they're in a great spot to continue the fight from the backside, which feels very good for them. However, when you run out of Shen to play, you play Sion, who is the same as Shen, but instead of teleporting, he runs at you screaming. This is a great pivot from else.
Absolutely, Scion, kind of being, I would say, generally forgotten in the meta for a while. And maybe this is just from what I've been seeing, but with the Los Ratones being played and Baus being there, the just Scion and how he's making that work in competitive play is really making that champ, I think, thought to be viable again within competitive play.
Yeah, very much so. Rounding out here with the Xin Zhao in the jungle. All right. I mean, I think that's a great little mid-ranger here to sit between the Nautilus and Scion, help the Ari and Corki in the back lines if needed. And by the same token, it gives the Mingos a great early game presence before Xayah and Vigar can really get online.
Absolutely. How I'm a bit of an LS enjoyer. Haven't watched much of him recently, but one of his opinions that I do quite agree with is the fact that Xin Zhao, he's strong as a champ, but kind of feels like he needs some sort of enchanter behind him to really get him going. They don't have that, and I mean, like I was talking about earlier too, they drafted Scion and Xin Zhao, and this Vygar cage is just getting more and more useful in terms of being able to space and stop engages from happening. And then the counter engage from the set, a Scion who's going to be very, very large health bar can, if the right angle is presented, can be set ulted and half health his entire team.
Yeah, this is very true. It's also a great taxi for Set to get into the back line, use that facebreaker to lock down Corki and Ari for a bit. But that's still an execution threshold. It requires Set to be in the right place. It requires Scion to be in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
And it requires the rest of KOI to be able to follow up on it. So, still plenty of opportunities for Mingos to play around that. But both of these teams, Lakey, are really building towards that 5-man front-to-back team fight, it feels like.
Absolutely. Definitely very interested to see how these fights play out, because the initial look on kind of a skirmishing kind of poke comp that was immediately canceled by the Braum and then blue side having to kind of pivot to a front to back team comp. I know these players are comfortable on these champs, so I'm sure they'll be able to execute well. Am I seeing this right? Corki mid. Are they rotating the Ari bot?
You know, I don't love it, but I can see where they're thinking about it and why they're thinking about it. Since Corki just sits outside the range of the cage and never has any issues whatsoever. By the same token, though, I feel like it's far more likely that before that cutoff point, they'll just swap back and forth Zulfer and DDS here, and we'll have Ari in the mid lane.
I would hope so. I think Corki could definitely be much more oppressive in the mid lane, but I don't know if that scales into the late game as they would want it to. I think having the actual ADC support bot lane would probably end up playing well, but Mingos are known for some interesting playstyles, so I'm curious if they are just deciding to switch these around. I guess we'll see when their time runs out for swapping.
Yeah, I do worry as well that the Ari in the bot lane is going to take away a lot of what makes Ari so great, which is that kind of level 6 to level 11, being able to push a wave and roam. Use the ultimate, get down bot really quickly, fire off a gank, get back into the mid lane. As soon as that ult timer's back up, go top lane. Roam with your jungler. Fight over these neutral objectives with that superior map control that she has. And we do see the swap coming through,
Absolutely.
thankfully.
I was going to say, we're in luck. They're swapped back.
Back.
Probably just picking down the order of the draft versus what he was playing, which is easily fixable with the swap system, so will not be an issue.
Although, that being said, it would be real funny to see them just pull something like that at the last minute. Say, yeah, now that you got all your runes set up for Magic Resist, how about a Corki?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. That would be funny. As we look into these drafts, which side would you rather be playing on? Which side are you kind of giving the favor to in terms of winning this game?
Well, as a player whose core champion base was always Shen Scion Mundo, I have to go with the Mingos just for that. That being said, I do think they also have the easier execution here, because Scion has a very straightforward engage. Nautilus has a very straightforward engage. Xin Zhao offers very easy disengage with the Crescent Guard, and Ari and Corki are both safe enough with the Valkyrie and Spirit Rush that they don't necessarily need poor Doxical to sit back and be worried about keeping them safe at all times. Whereas on the other side, Vygar, very immobile, very easy to get on top of for someone like the Xin Zhao or the Ari. Xayah, once she doesn't have the Featherstorm, she's completely exposed. And it'll be very, very incumbent upon Chicken here on the Braum to peel for both of them at the same time. So I think that the threshold for Knights of Ishtar is much higher than it is for Mingos, and that'll give Mingos the easier chance here.
Absolutely. I would say I'm inclined to agree. The the ease of execution definitely, I think, falls onto the blue side with the Mingos. But knowing the Knights of Ishtar, knowing these players, how strong they are, I'm excited to see how they make this comp work. Viego can be very oppressive if he gets ahead early, and both Xin Zhao and Viego are champs that kind of look to skirmish and fight early, and I think whichever one ends up getting ahead, and if they can get effective ganks off, can really set their team ahead to prepare for a win. So I'm very excited to see how this early game plays out, because I think that'll really impact how the later stages of the game goes.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts here before we jump into a quick break as we load onto the Rift here, Lakey?
I don't think so. I think just excited to see this match play out. I think Knights of Ishtar are looking to re-emphasize who they are, how good they are, and trying to change up where they are on that power rankings tier list. Looking to kind of come back up from there. So I'm excited for a good game here.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see you guys on the Rift back in just a couple of minutes.
Alrighty, how we doing?
Like we're ready to get on to the Rift here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am paused at 5.
Mm-hmm.
All right, gonna count us down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Play. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome.
As the teams are looking to get onto the Rift, we've got some things down here on the bot side. Looks like KOI really wanting to get a nice early invade. Seems like the Mingos are ready to answer, so we could have some great early brawling here.
Absolutely. And with this Braum, red side really strong level 1. Able to apply that passive if a fight does break out, but it is looking like Mingos are going to back out and just go back to conventional. Not necessarily a 5-point, but not looking for any fighting.
Oh, that's no fun. Where's the action? Where's the engagement here, Lakey?
They're not looking for fun, they're looking to win. And coin flipping at level 1, usually not the smartest way to do that.
Touche, touche. Well, the players have already noticed, but since we've got this downtime, I want to bring it to your attention to get your thoughts. Chicken going for the heal here instead of the ignite to pair with Frostbite's barrier. How you feel about that versus the more aggressive summoner spell?
I think it's smart as a fight breaks out.
Yeah, good early damage onto Frost, but Paradoxical getting locked up by that stun is going to take equal damage in trade. Unfortunately, this is potion burned already for Frostbite, so KOI is going to be in a rough spot here, level 2.
And I was oh my goodness.
Frost forced to flash away, the heal coming out from Chicken to keep him alive, down under 100 health as DDS just continuing to fire away, barely touch on that Corki, but still, no kills just yet.
Absolutely, and I mean, as you asked that question, they break out, and I was actually going to say, that's, that exact scenario is why I was a fan of the heal. The Nautilus Corki is really strong at doing an engage and just kind of one-shotting you, and Xayah and Braum don't really have that kind of combo to lock in that like an ignite would really be useful in. So having the heal to, I mean, save Frostbite's life. I think he was on sub 100 HP. So the heal actually being good there. Yeah.
Up here in the top side, these two have been going at each other like crazy. Tygoon barely survived just a few moments ago. Haymaker coming out, but again, both these guys down at 200 health. Flash forward from Tygoon. He gets the face breaker, but TJ flashing away is going to get the stun here from out of the bush. Tygoon down to 100, and the burst of the shield takes first blood.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that very scrappy start of this game here, both in top and bot lane. And TJ Lanier coming out ahead, very close. Obviously, Tygoon, they're both super low, and Tygoon TPing in for a trade kill, possibly?
This was so disrespectful from TJ. You can't stay there like that, knowing the way that TP has been reworked. Gonna die here almost certainly, running towards the tower, but will fall. Now in that passive state, looking to find something on the Tygoon, but gets face broken. Now Vaperto here with Abysmal, but it's not a lot of health on that Viego. That already dead, and finally, Xin Zhao will pick up that Viego. That's already a feat taken here, Lakey.
Yeah, that Scion passive is very strong. And he opts to use it because his jungler is there to fight. He was stalling his life to get his jungle there, and you know, I would, in the words of Baus, that's a good death. He didn't get the wave. He loses a little bit of CS there, but I think getting 2 more kills rather than and losing 5-6 minions is definitely a worthwhile trade there.
And look at where the wave's camped out now, Lakey. It's right in front of that blue side turret. It's going to be impossible for Tygoon to farm here without stepping up and leaving himself vulnerable to a chase down.
Absolutely, and Scion with 2 kills already, even up 12 CS, he's got that Giant's Belt. He's halfway to a Heartsteel already.
Whoa, good hook here from Paradoxical. However, the Nautilus going very low as DDS in deep here, finds Chicken the Wing on the backside. However, Paradoxical is going to go down. Now it's a fight of ADCs up here in the Tri-Bush, and Frostbite gets it this time.
One of the bloodiest games, or bloodiest early games I've seen of the series I've casted so far this split. It's only week 2, but last week a lot of games were very slow starts, people playing safe, and this is very bloody. More fighting yet again, Abysmal ganking bot.
Frostbite's very low, but does manage to get peeled thanks to Vaperto, and no deaths this time, but Abysmal now with a great angle on this Drake with his bot lane coming back shortly, should be able to lay claim to it. If he's not in the middle of the enemy jungle once again, fighting Chicken and Vaperto here. Zulfer does have first roam, however, Ventro gets the case down, will find the lockup. The Ahri getting very, very low. However, Zulfer staying alive on the backside. Vaperto's the first to fall as finally the Mingo's bot lane gets here. Ventro now on the run, being chased by 4. The W will not be enough. Paradoxical just waiting for that Q to come up and locks down the Vigar. That's another 2 for 0 here for the Mingos and should maybe be the Drake, but Abysmal's going elsewhere.
It looks like he's heading for those Void Grubs. Wood Grub's still definitely strong with a split push champ like Scion. However, their damage to towers has been nerfed in recent patches. I think definitely less valuable than they have been before, not as necessarily required. And they might just be going for a trade here with Red Side looking at Dragon, but with the presence of the bot lane pushed in, they might not be able to do it. We'll see.
I don't know that the Mingos know that Roberto and Chicken have been taking that Drake. There's been no vision, no pings, no nothing, and it'll go down here shortly without any response from the Mingos except for that grub take on the top side.
Absolutely, going for the one-for-one trade. I think in a game where, I mean, both teams are scaling, Blue side can afford to give a dragon or two if they're gonna trade for those wood grubs, because, like I said, having a Scion or even a Corki hitting towers late game, split pushing, can be really strong.
Yeah, that's very true. And with the speed at which we're racking up kills, we're going to be at that late game 3, 4, 5 item point very, very quickly here.
Absolutely. And yeah, Scion will have Heartsteel on his next base. Already 2 Giant's Belts and that Crystalline Bracer. Just needs the combine gold to get that item finished. And the earlier he gets that Heartsteel, the quicker he scales. He's already at over 2,000 HP, double Tygoon's health bar.
Zulfer might be in trouble here. Has Venture pretty low, but Roberto and Chicken are here as well. The Spirit Rush is coming through, looking to get away, but dashing back in, trying to get the kill, and the greed is going to be the death of Zulfer here. Roberto picks that up. Finally turning something around for KOI. But on the top side, the fighting isn't over as Tygoon gets knocked up here by Abysmal. Will be Bouncy House once again, but using that ultimate to get out and drag Abysmal under the turret nearly picks him up. The fighting doesn't stop here. Lakey is now down on the bot side. Chicken's in trouble. Valkyrieing in is DDS, looking to get that final rocket. Will find him on the backside. Are they looking to dive here? Paradoxical isn't 6. This would be very, very dangerous.
Absolutely.
And back away.
Frostbite does have that Featherstorm available now too, so dive will be even harder. If they decide to go for it, which they might be.
They're doing it. Yeah, Paradoxical is going to draw turret aggro, and he's going to fall here. That's a little bit of an overstep.
Just a little bit. Didn't even end up using Frostbite's Featherstorm, so that's scary. And a bit of a throw, but they are up 3k gold already at 9 minutes. So KOI taking any win they can at this point in the game.
Yeah, the win's certainly not coming from the top side, where Tygoon getting absolutely bodied by TJ, who has a full 1,000 gold lead at this point individually. So the Scion going to be very, very difficult to deal with. However, he's going to find Vaperto here coming in for a roam, forced to use that ultimate to get out under his own turret.
And he's going to be okay with that. He can back. I think he has Heartsteel on base, and then his TP is able to go back up and collect that wave. He does it up to stay. Going to collect this wave and then get his back off, I would assume.
Yeah, not particularly scared of the dive, knowing how low Tygoon was, so don't mind that decision here. Go ahead, get your gold, make sure you collect as much as possible before backing off.
Now, I will say, an interesting first purchase here by DDS is the Bloodthirster instead of looking for that Triforce.
Oh, Ventro. Got caught there by Paradoxical. That'll be another kill for Zulfer. Yeah, the Bloodthirster is interesting. It's very defensive here, Lakey, which makes sense considering just how much fighting there's been going on, but it means it'll take longer for him to get online as Zulfer's getting caught out here by the stun from Vaperto. Chicken is here as well, building up that stun stack, and that'll be an Ari dead once again.
Absolutely. Man, what a bloody game. I will say, it does look like DDS is just going to opt for the full crit build rather than the Triforce Manamune, and Bloodthirster, while it's not a crit item anymore, it does have the 18% lifesteal, which is really good with the true damage he does, as well as it's one of the highest AD marksman items in the game, so he does have a lot of AD at this point.
big fight here around the Grubs. Roberto picking up a couple. However, TJ Lanyard putting in some work here in the 1v3, getting those Heartsteel stacks already, trying to turn this around for his team. Still has a little bit of health, but does get shut down here. That kill going over to Roberto. However, flash in from Zulfer will pick up Ventro on the backside. The Grub's going very, very low. There's one left here as Tygoon looks to take it away and prevent the 6 stacks. The smite will come through, but now Zulfer looking to find something more on the backside. Can he pick up either of these kills? Looks like the answer is going to be no, and that's going to be a 3 for 2 here in the extended fight around Grubs.
Wow. Yeah, we keep saying it. Such a bloody game. 20 kills at 12 minutes.
It's almost not worth it to cast the fights anymore because by the time I take a breath, there's going to be another one.
For real. I try to do a little talk about item purchases and they just keep fighting already. But yeah, lot of item completions are coming through. Sundered Sky on the Xin Zhao. Rod of Ages coming out on the Ahri, looking to be a little tankier. Kraken on the Viego. I think Xayah has had the S18 Reaver for a while now. But first items starting to come online.
I want to talk about this Corki for a second, though, because his combos are chunking people to half health with absolutely no effort. GDS is already incredibly threatening as they're looking to find a fight here in the jungle. Roberto already chunked out as the Featherstorm is used. Forced to flash across that wall is Frostbite, but Chicken is managing to zone pretty well. Bought enough time for Ventro to get over. The fight still continuing as DDS a little bit separated from the rest of the team. Fort Oxcool is going to be the first to fall, actually, as Roberto picks that up. Now unstoppable at 6-2 and 1. And suddenly Abysmal finds himself on the back foot here, running away through the blue buff jungle. Stunned up once again. That Braum passive going absolutely into overdrive, stunning people left and right. And that's a 2-for-0 in favor of KOI on a bit of a Mingo's overstep.
Yeah, absolutely. Evening up the kill score. But while that fight was happening, Zulfer able to pick up that first turret mid, giving them the Feats of Warfare and the upgraded boots, which, while not as strong as it used to be at the start of this season, is still a sizable buff that'll keep them ahead stats-wise.
Yeah, plenty strong there as TJ is just going to run down Tygoon again. Might not get the kill, but he's certainly making this set's life miserable.
Absolutely. The Viego, 7 kills. Very strong at this point. They definitely want to be fighting around him, whereas the Corki is the one with the most kills on the side of the Mingos.
Yeah, single most gold in the game here for Vaperto. However, TJ and DDS are both individually strong as well, so there's plenty of power on the Mingo side. As DDS is just tearing through these health bars, finds Frostbite very, very quickly. Chicken has no turret, so he's going to fall here as well, almost certainly. Last auto attack coming through. Meanwhile, on the top side, Abysmal setting up for a dive here, looking at Tygoon, who's very, very low. Vaperto sniffs this out, but the wave is here, and Zulfer is on the hunt, looking for that charm angle. Abysmal threatening in from the backside. This charm does land. Tygoon is already dead, and now Abysmal forced to use that Crescent Guard defensively, trying to get out here, blocking a lot of damage with that ultimate, but will it be enough? He's burning down. He falls to Ventro. And now Zulfer in the 1v2 no longer has the Spirit Rush, no longer has a bunch of damage, will be in trouble and will be going down here to Vaperto. Now 8-2 and 2 on this Viego.
I'm kind of at a loss for words as for what to say. I mean, 27 kills at 15 minutes, almost at 2 kills per minute the entire game. Corki finishing his second item with the S18 Reaver, so starting to get some crit. And just going the full damage build. No Triforce, no Manamune. Just looking to make his auto attack stronger really than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about that into the comp that KOI has here, which is, you know, fairly squishy, all things considered?
I want to say I like it. I think both Corki build variants would be good this game, both for if he opted for the more poke build with the Triforce and Manmune, a lot of like engage and frontline on the side of KOI, so he'd be able to poke, but also because they have a lot of like frontline engage, if he opts into his auto attacks, he's gonna be able to hit more and he's gonna hit harder.
Yeah, that's very fair. And right now, I mean, the gamble's certainly paying off as the Corki's sitting at 6-1. Looks like we may have a fight around this Rift Herald, though, as 4 members looking to contest Mingo's away. However, Chicken the Wing is the first caught. Lots of damage going down onto the Braum, but that's a lot sunken into that shield. DDS now dominating, but Paradoxical is going to be the first to fall from the Mingos, and DDS is caught out. Will get shut down by the ultimate from the Vigar. Now Abysmal caught between a rock and a hard place. The Viego bouncing out of there, staying alive as Tygoon finally joins the fight. Frostbite on the backside, staying alive thanks to that Feather Collar. A double kill for the set. Will he pick up the triple kill? No, he gifts it to Ventro. However, that's a 5-for-1 ace for KOI as they suddenly take a little bit of control in this game.
Absolutely. The Braum looking like he gets caught out at the start of the fight, but really just the Vigard cage and the Xayah feathers putting in so much work at like peeling themselves as well as just enabling damage.
Yeah, and an unfortunate amount was sunk into that unbreakable wall from DDS, from Zulfur, from Paradoxical. It meant that they had nothing left once they got through Chicken, and that was what kept Frostbite and Ventro alive, even though their health bars were blinking red for 95% of that fight.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 4 members of KOI now with bounties. But they're behind in gold. I don't know how I feel about that. Riot, what is going on?
If mechanics make sense, I promise.
Down 1k gold with and 1,000 gold to give the enemy team in bounties. That.
Yeah.
I see.
Zulfur getting caught here early, but does force the ultimate from Paperto. The Rift Herald is getting low, but looks like Mingos are going to pull off as that cage doing a ton of work in slowing down the engage. Massive Haymaker over the top takes Abysmal very, very low. Tygoon already has one, looking to get the hook onto the backside. Chicken does fall. However, the entirety of the Mingos lines are in disarray. Abysmal running for the hills. Zulfur running in a completely separate direction. TJ all alone in the back fighting the entirety of KOI, but he can't do anything. He's just a tank. He's all alone and finally gets cut down. Another massive fight for the KOI squad, and they're not finished. They clean up the ace, finding Zulfur in the jungle. That's another 5-for-1 here, Lakey.
They've really managed to turn this game around, and I've got to say, what I'm seeing, it's this Vigard cage is the thing that is deciding these fights. You might not think of it as, it's a single ability, but like it is spacing well. It is giving CC to allow free damage on carries and like pushing because of the low range on Corki. Vigard cage is making it so he can't free hit, and so his choice of opting into the more auto attack focused build, while it was looking strong earlier, is starting to look less and less like it was maybe the correct option.
And this is not a Vigar that is particularly insanely strong at this point. He only has about 450 AP between the Seraphs and the Liandry's in his own stacks. But still, he doesn't need to be the carry. He doesn't need to be the damage because Paperto and Frostbite are doing all the work for him and tearing through the health bars. He just has to lock them down. He's almost a CC bot at this point.
Absolutely, and I mean his items are built to keep him alive, and he has a lot of CDR with them. Liandry's, while it does give some chip damage, some tick damage. But
Zulfur, not again.
Oh no.
Running for the hills, doesn't quite get those concussive blows stacked. However, here on the bot side, Tygoon going in hard with that ultimate. Abysmal very, very low, but TJ buying time with that decimating smash. It's not enough as Paperto goes legendary, now 11-2. TJ trying to run, trying to hide. He's got a big shield, but it's not going to be enough as he's sunned up just outside of turret range, and Tygoon chases him under the laser to pick up his 7th. Now unstoppable here as he runs away from TJ's very angry corpse.
Support's doing a little brawling, but not much going to come of it.
I don't feel like there's much to talk about at this point, Lakey, because this isn't, you know, a very cerebral game of League of Legends. This isn't a bunch of macro play, these teams fighting over objectives, working with lane pushes. Nah, it's just we throw everything at the other guy, and whoever doesn't die first is the winner.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm finding, like you said, I'm finding it hard to say or even talk about things that, like, how decisions are being made, because I don't want to say people are playing on autopilot, but with the way fights are happening, it kind of feels that way.
I mean, we've got 41 kills in 22 minutes. This is insane paced. It's almost faster than they can respawn at this point.
Absolutely. And gold deficit is a 6k gold swing over the past 10 minutes. Mingos were up 3k gold, now they're down 3k gold.
Yeah, and if you tap that X button, we can see where it all is. It is squarely on the head of Aperto here, who has an individual 4k gold lead right now over Abysmal. He is absolutely insanely strong, looking real close to that third item, in fact. So we'll just get worse from here. However, on the top side, Mango's finally looking at this Otacon.
And with TJ Lanier pushing in the bot lane, they're going to trade the Dragon for it. And TJ's just going to suck up that pressure. It looks like they're sending 4 for him. He does get that tier 2 tower. He's getting healthier, stronger. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for an Unending Despair next. And, I mean, he's been surviving in fights and, like, just being the tank that Sion is. And Unending Despair will make that even harder. And for them to kill him, assuming it's not just 4-on-1 like we just saw. He kind of died very quickly there. But in fights, he's been taking a long time to die.
Absolutely. Great beef tank. Already 550 stacks on that Heartsteel. So just going to get harder and harder to cut through as he starts building resistances. That Aegis completed Giant Belt sitting as well. And there it is. The Unending Despair that you expected. Closing out his third item. And in fact, he'll be the first to reach 3 full items in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. The tower gold he's been getting, as well as just his high minion count. Although, I mean, there are players in the game with even more minions than him. His own ADC DDS at 230 stacks already, just under 10 CS per minute.
That's some professional level farming right there. However, they're getting collapsed upon a little bit here as Tygoon and Vaperto looking to find something on the flank. DDS is first in line to eat that stun, but Vaperto can't find the angle, won't pull the trigger.
Charm does go wide. And no one's going to die quite yet.
However, Tygoon tempting fate a little bit here. Takes a bunch of chunk damage as the Herald spawned. Looks like Vaperto just ran out of time, but they're going to use it to try and take a little bit of control over this mid lane. Perhaps. Nope, Shelly's just going to die here ignominiously as the entirety of Mingo's focuses are down. Unfortunate.
We've got a little NA ramming happening right now. There's nothing to fight over. If they had fought there, Chicken was... I mean, he was half HP that entire time. If a fight had broken out, he could not have been that useful.
No, and perhaps getting a member or two down would have been great for the Mingos in terms of positioning around this Baron and maybe being able to force the issue as opposed to just floating and getting wards like they're doing right now. But looks like they're in no hurry to try and take the big purple worm. They're going to play it slow, back out, maybe get some of these items fully completed here before they continue.
Absolutely. And you were talking about that goal lead in the jungle. Vaperto at 3 items. Abysmal's still on 1. Very far behind in the jungle. It looks like he's close to his second item completion, but he's still... That still makes him 1 whole item behind.
And this is where it does start getting into what you were talking about earlier, where if the Xin Zhao isn't incredibly ahead, he is reliant on having an enchanter to give him that survivability and damage in fights. As he is now, he's not going to be much more than a damage soak when it comes to that Crescent Guard, which is still very valuable, makes TJ an even more effective tank. But not quite what they wanted out of him.
Absolutely.
Paradoxical, taking a lot of damage here on the top side, does get some good lockdown on the Chicken, has on the bot, Tygoon goes down in the 1v1, but Perto is caught out with the depth charge and will go down to a last auto attack from DDS. With no jungler here, that could be the signal for Baron for the Mingos, and they are in fact sprinting right to it.
Absolutely. Zulfer getting the solo kill on Tygoon in the bot lane too. Really just like Mingos they're not gonna let the game fall to the wayside after I wouldn't say throwing, but after kind of falling a little behind after their strong early game. Making a bit of a comeback here, back in the lead of gold. Another 5K gold swing. It's a scrappy game. I'm happy. This has been fun to watch.
This is the kind of games that you'd pay to see. Both these teams clearly want to win it, and they're willing to go to any lengths to do so. Now, though, with the next major objective being the Drake here in 20 seconds, it is very incumbent upon KOI to get back on the map and start putting some vision back down so that they can maybe find a fight more like those two from earlier where they can win handily and look to get Soul here at Chemtech looming large over their heads.
Mingo's really needing to get this dragon, or otherwise KOI will have the Soul. Abysmal forced to burn his ult.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate early burn. However, Boperto's in trouble early, going to go down here without any fight at all. Tygoon in the backside does get a great ult onto TJ, but it doesn't matter. The Drake's already been taken. They've got nothing left to fight for. Frostbite and Ventro are the only ones left, but they're not long for this world either. Ventro now running for the hills, trying to do enough damage to get them off his tail, but it will not be enough. It's picked up by Zulfer, and that's going to be a 5 for 2 here. And that should be the mid inhibitor exposed, perhaps, as they're looking to push down this lane with 30 seconds on the death timers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, TJ, he's at the 3 tank items now. He's got that first tunneler built. He's looking to get an AD item, which, whether Bloodmail or, oh my gosh, the Titanic Hydra, both one give AD based off of health, and he's going to start doing some crazy damage on top of being tanky.
Yeah, because that's what this team needs, is more damage on top of being able to eliminate Vaperto when they catch him out like that.
Absolutely. I don't know if you saw a recent clip out of the LPL of a Scion trying to end solo and living for a minute getting hit by 4 people.
Peak gameplay right there.
Absolutely. So funny to watch. But Scion, yeah, there's the second tunneler. I think that means he's going for the Bloodmail, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I do like that here, because he's been getting a lot of mileage out of those decimating smashes, just absolutely tearing through health bars and locking folks down for good long periods of time. So having the Overlords does boost that, whereas the Titanic, not quite as easy unless you're quite good at microing the timing on that double attack.
Mm-hmm.
I love the posturing around Baron with 3 minutes to go before it spawns. These teams, by the time they place down wards, they're going to be despawned before Baron respawns, but it's worth the fight anyway. We might as well, right? We've only killed each other 51 times this game.
Only just a slight amount of death.
Yeah, and Tygoon might be in trouble again. Using the ult here early on to TJ. That Scion not taking any damage in return as they found Vaperto once again. He may be the carry, but he can't carry from the grave. Already down as TJ looking to get the re-engage here onto Ventro. The Vigar puts down great damage with those Ws, but it's not quite enough. The health bar is low, but only one falls. Paradoxical finally following. TJ soaking up so much damage from Frostbite, but he's down below 1,000 health now. Zulfer going low as well. TJ still not dead.
That unending
despair
heal.
For 15 seconds. Oh my lord. Now they rotate towards the mid lane. Zulfer looking to pick up one on the way out. Does find it onto Chicken with that Foxfire. And they're looking to push this inhibitor. Those health bars are low, but they are fearless today, Leggy.
I will say, the reason Xayah does 0 damage to that Scion is she has no pen yet.
Yeah, she just can't hurt anybody. Zulfer surviving, Abysmal surviving. Zulfer might get out of this if he plays it right. Flashing away is going to make it. No kills for Frostbite after taking 3 different members of the Mingos under 100 health in that fight.
I want to take a look at this Executioner's. It's already reduced 1,200 healing at this point in the game. And I think he bought it quite recently. I think most of that reduction was just for the Scion's Unending Despair, because that has done already 4k healing since its purchase.
I mean, TJ only has 7,000 health. He's not exactly a tank.
Right, and, you know, no resists whatsoever either into the 380 and 1 AP comp on the other enemy team. His armor isn't super beneficial.
Nah, none of that. Team's now looking towards these neutral objectives. 30 seconds on both. The timers are pretty well synced, so we might even be seeing a trade of objectives here if they're willing to handshake it. That Soul still looming large for KOI, which is why the Mingos have more control over this bot side. They really want to make sure that they're not getting the Soul. But look at Scion. He's pushed up so deep. He's drawing so much pressure. KOI has to respond if they don't want to lose their base. But that means they've lost all pressure over these neutral objectives.
And then Ari on the top even.
TJ might just take one back here, even in the 1v4. His health bar going down so slowly for the big man. Finally falls here, but that took these guys way too long, and it's going to be the Drake sacrifice in exchange. Scion's shouting worth in all chat as he's denied a soul once again for another 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. This Scion, like I was talking about earlier, that his split push and just like ability to force the enemy team to react to his plays really is buying the Mingos a lot of pressure to take objectives that they initially were behind on.
Ooh. Luperto getting flashed upon here, burning down, does fall to DDS on the end of that fight. However, the ultimate forces DDS to Valkyrie the wrong way, and that's going to be a kill here for KOI. Zulfer TPing in a little bit awkwardly, does get the kill onto Frostbite, but is very low now, leaving Abysmal completely alone on the backside of that fight. Zulfer continuing to try from the side, but can't get enough damage out as Paradoxical dies on his lonesome in the mid lane. That's going to be not quite an ace, as TJ Lanier is here looking to clean up the fight. Has his full health bar back, and Ventro and Chicken very low, looking to stack that CC onto this Scion, but my god, the man will not die. Still at 3,000 health, still just chunking through these health bars. Tygoon now very low as well, as TJ's bought a solid 15-20 seconds at this point. Will finally fall to the unleashed power, but good grief. TJ made sure that they couldn't get that Baron.
Vigar sitting at 1,300 AP at this point in the game with almost 600 stacks. With the Rabadon to buff that up even more, he's doing damage now. He's reached late game Vigar, and he still has an item to go in purchasing, which at this point, yeah, he's buying resists. He doesn't need to buy more damage.
Yeah, absolutely. He 1,200 AP. He's got enough, but it is still a little bit scary for KOI. If they find a fight where TJ is synced with the rest of the team here for Mingos, it's going to be very hard for KOI to take on both halves of that team at once. However, they're not waiting. Frostbite forced to use that Featherstorm early. It will not be enough as he goes down to Abysmal. Repairtail going down as well. Chicken now in trouble, forced to use that Glacial Fissure defensively, but it's not enough. A double now for DDS, looking to chase down Tygoon, and Ventro looking to push into the base and perhaps end this game. The Flash Forward from Abysmal will find the 3-talon strike onto Tygoon.
I think if he dies, that's game.
Forces the early Haymaker. Here comes the ultimate from Tygoon.
Oh, and Vigar gets caught.
Here, and now Ventro in trouble. That's a double kill. That's an ace here for the side of the Mingos. 20 seconds on the respawns. Will it be enough? Yes, the inhibitor is respawned. It's buying more time. The base helping the team more than the players are at this point. However, it will not be enough. The second tower falls, and it looks like the BM is coming out. They're looking to pick off Chicken the Wing here as he respawns, and they will do so. TJ tanking up the base laser before the Nexus explodes.
Wow, what a first game of the series.
My goodness, Lakey. 70 kills in 36 minutes. Everyone just absolutely cranking out the damage in this game.
I don't even know how to like, wow, just what a game. I don't know how to really process like what the not process, but just such an insane game.
Yeah, both teams really pushing it to the limit there, and we saw a couple of oversteps from Mingos. They really lost the plot for a few minutes there in the middle with the two back-to-back aces from KOI, catapulting them back into the lead, but they brought it back together, and TJ absolutely threw the team on his back with the tank stats there. 77,000 damage taken. Just utterly unbreakable on the front lines.
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy game.
Well, Licky, I do believe we ought to step aside for just a couple of minutes. Let these guys get ready for game 2. Try to catch our breaths. Try to get some drinks here so that we can yap again with another high-octane game 2 in just a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. Send it to break and we'll be back in a bit. All right. Heading into the draft for game number 2.
Yeah, side swap here does offer a little bit of flexibility to Knights of Ishtar, and they're going to lose it immediately as that Neferi is banned. Mingo's not taking the bait, not leaving it up this time, and looks like we're just going to see flip bans here to start us out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of my brain is still just like whoa from last game. I'm curious how draft is going to play out this game in terms of are both teams going to look kind of for just team fight skirmish face roll comps again, or are we going to look for something more complicated or just different than that, or are we kind of going to look at the same kind of game?
As far as bans are concerned, it looks just about the same. The Nocturne being swapped out for the Kindred here, though, is a little bit interesting. I'm curious if the Mingos are going to potentially pick that up, as Twitch is slammed B1. That is a spicy choice here, Lakey.
Personally, big fan of Twitch. Love that character.
But in the state he's in right now,
I think he's
happy with him being a B1?
I like him. I like his. I don't know how strong he is, but I like his fantasy, the way he plays, especially if he does get ahead. So I'm excited. It's a spicy pick. Not something I don't think we've really seen for a while. So that's what makes me happy.
Very, very fair. Can't argue with that. On the other side, Mingos choosing to answer with the Ezreal and then play the very safe Jarvan the Fourth.
Not only safe, but IMO, one of the strongest junglers in a competitive setting.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a falling off here over the past few seasons. Not quite as popular as he once was, as other junglers taking a little bit of precedence, but very good level 2, level 3 ganker, can even look to just clear one camp and immediately show up in the lane before anyone else has hit level 2, so plenty of presence in the map early, and could accelerate the game for the Mingos in a way that the Xin Zhao wasn't quite able to do successfully last game.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And the Rakan paired with the Twitch. Sorry, I'm geeking out a little bit. That was always I know that showed up in actual pro play a few years ago, very briefly, just because Rakan jumping to an invis Twitch for like a farther engage than you might expect is a very fun combo. And I'm excited to see them hopefully be able to play it off and make it work.
Yeah, elsewhere on the draft here, this Poppy from Knights of Ishtar, the Mingos think it's going top lane. What do you think about it?
I think Poppy's a very good flex. Top jungle support even, although we do see the Rakan locked in, so I feel like I saw something recently about a full AP mid Rakan thing, but I highly doubt that is what's happening this game. But the Poppy flex top jungle, I think, is still really strong.
Yeah, I mean, AP Rakan is funny, but his only real damage in that build is the Q, which has an 80% AP ratio, so feels underwhelming, especially against a champion like Lissandra.
Mm-hmm.
Which, speaking of, is a heck of a mid to blind.
Absolutely. Sandra's good for picks. Jarvan is good for pick. I'm curious if just like their thought process behind the Lissandra is, oh, Twitch opens, I want to click on him right away. But then again, Twitch range is much larger than the range of Lissandra are. Are we looking at a Lissandra support with this Orianna hover?
That's what I'm beginning to think, unless this is a Lissandra top.
I mean,
This
I
is a
mentioned the
spicy
Mingo's
threat.
play style and the random things they be doing sometimes. This is not outside their wheelhouse. They've played Shaco support in games before, so Lysandra is definitely something I believe that they would, and I mean, looks like they are playing.
We'll have to see what the lane assignments here are on this. We'll likely get a bit of an answer here when we get the final pick here on the red side. But for now, rounding out the KOI draft is going to be the Ornn in the top side. The Scion still available. They decided they didn't want it here, and Vel'Koz will
Belkaz,
finish
where's
them off.
Stevie? Is Stevie in chat right now? He's gonna be so happy.
Big Vel'Koz enjoyer is Stevie.
Absolutely.
Ambessa rounding out the comp. Oh, wait. No, please don't do this.
Okay.
Anything but the Jhin to round out this comp makes me happy. Although I do remember the very, very brief moment back in Season 8 where Ezreal top was the best thing in League of Legends because Kleptomancy would just feed you so much.
I was not playing the game at that point in its lifespan, so can't comment on that really. Um, but yeah,
Oh, it was beautiful. But in any case here, the draft finally sorted out for Mingos, and the question for me is, are we seeing a Lysandra bot to try and counteract this Rakan by just pressing W anytime he tries to grand entrance? Or are we seeing an Orianna here using that ball to scout out for the Twitch and Rakan in bushes? Because I feel like either has at least a little bit of internally consistent logic.
I'm leaning towards the Lysandra being in the support just because that champ does function without gold much better than Orianna does. Just because Lysandra, like, she's more useful because of her ult and her W and her passive that just provides slowing and CC. And she doesn't. I mean, giving her gold and AP gives her damage, but the CC itself is valuable. Whereas Orianna really does want to, have that. How do you say gold? Because she does kind of need it. She doesn't have the utility that Lysandra does on the low econ.
That's very fair. We have a bit of a delay here because players forget how to draft. We have fun in BTL.
Absolutely.
God bless them.
You gotta love it. But yeah, so heading into this continued draft, or draft is over, but as we're preparing for the match, where do you expect to see? I mean, last game was very bloody. Where do you expect to see the action in this game, and who do you think needs to get ahead on both teams in order to really push to and ensure a win?
I think it'll be absolutely imperative for Jarvan the Fourth to get some action early, especially in that kind of level 1, 2, 3 range. Because if you let the Vel'Koz scale and sit behind an Ornn, Poppy, or Khan, he's going to cut through you like butter. If you don't gank the Twitch early and you let him scale, he's going to be able to get off great flanks, use that spray and pray to tear through your team. So it's absolutely impingent upon the Jarvan the Fourth to shut down both of those lanes early, which I think there's plenty of opportunity to do. The Twitch is vulnerable early, the Vel'Koz is vulnerable early, so I expect a lot of focus down towards the bot half of the map for Mingos. And I don't know that Vaperto is going to be able to do anything aggressive. I suspect that he'll have to just be reactive here because he doesn't have a great option on the top side. Ornn into Gnar is not something where getting the Ornn ahead is going to be a major win. It's just your tank gets tankier.
Right. I will say, last week there was an Ornn pick that I mean, Ornn is strong, especially if you're wanting to scale, but the Ornn was set so far behind that by the time the game was over, they hadn't really gotten to ornaments yet,
Mhm.
which is kind of why you want to pick that champ. So I think, like you were saying, if Jarvan can be active on the map, get people ahead, but I mean, shutting down any of these lanes is useful. Shutting
It's a big
down
win.
Vel'Koz means he can't cut you down as quick late game. Shutting down Twitch, same thing. Shutting down Ornn is shutting down, especially if you get kills and prevent XP, is preventing ornaments later. So lots of options for him. And I definitely agree. I think the Poppy kind of has to play reactionary versus it is the Orianna going support.
I hate that I was right, because I think you made a very good argument for why Lissandra needs to go support out of the two.
And they're
There we go.
switching. Oh my gosh, these people just pick your champ.
Twice in a row here.
They like to play with
Oh,
us. They like it's the Mingos.
God, I love it.
Uh,
All right. Well, Lakey, any final thoughts here as we stare at these finalized drafts and these teams load onto the Rift?
yeah, I think both of these drafts are good. I mean, like Jarvan Ori, very strong combo. Lissandra provides a lot of CC, and Ezreal is just a very strong AD carry. Whereas, I mean, the champs on the Knights of Ishtar side are also very strong, especially if they're allowed to scale. In terms of which team I'd rather play, I think ease of gameplay does fall onto the Mingos, just because Jarvan ult gives Gnar more walls to ult people into, plus the Jarvan Ori combo, plus Lissandra ult. Like, they have a lot of things to set up and, like, really allow their other teammates to play. Whereas Knights of Ishtar really do need to, like, they don't have that much CC that like sets up damage. They have CC, but Twitch is gonna do damage to you if you're still or not. Whereas someone stunned allows Ezreal to hit Qs easier. Um, I'm kind of just yapping at this point, but I mean, I'm excited. If this game is anything like last game, I expect to see a lot of fighting and people hitting item breakpoints that maybe we don't normally get to see in competitive games. So like a 3 or 4 item Twitch is not something we get to see a lot in competitive. Same thing with Ezreal, Lissandra, Oriana. So I'm just excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these teams have showed that they've got a lot of fight in them. They've got a lot of grit, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see what they do on the Rift. But for now, I think it's time for us to step aside and let them load, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Paused at 5.
Let's do it.
Counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Play. 6, 7, 8, 9,
Yep.
10.
Let's do it. On to the Rift we go for game 2 here. The Mingos up 1-0 here on the match already, having won it in pretty aggressive fashion in a 70-odd kill game in just about 30 minutes in game 1. Looking perhaps to do the same thing here in game 2, as they've got a 5-man invade cooking here on to Frostbite in the bot lane, but good ward in the try means nothing to be seen from that.
Mana flow stack for Vel'Koz. They win.
Yeah, that's the game. Easy peasy for KOI. Might as well roll straight into that third lobby, but this is another fairly slow early game. I'm just waiting for the another shoe to drop for us to start getting those kills and kills stacked up again out of nowhere.
Absolutely. I'm genuinely excited to see how aggressive this game is played out. And, I mean, just like last game, we're seeing Chicken taking heal and Poro taking ignite. I think almost for the exact same reason, in that the setup off of Mingo's bot lane for like a chunk is much better versus Knights of Ishtar kind of wanting to survive a chunk like what just happened.
Yeah, Frost is playing a little bit more aggressive here with the Ghost instead of the barrier, but I don't necessarily hate it. I think it's a good little adjustment here that allows the Twitch to be a bit more aggressive, reposition better for those spray and prays, so we'll see how it does work out.
Now, I haven't played Ornn in a while.
Ooh, aggression here from Chicken, going in hard with that W, but DDS is level 2. Flash forward from Poro, but it's first blood for DDS. Frostbite gets 1, but it doesn't matter. That's a double kill for the Ezreal already. The blood's begun to spill.
Absolutely. And being aggressive top lane again, too, now. And interesting tech by Tygoon. He actually starts refillable pots, doesn't buy anything else, so that after 3 minions he can buy the Doran, or after a couple minions he can buy the Doran shield and have the refillable pots. Interesting tech.
Yeah, it's not the most uncommon for Ornn, but it does give him a lot more survivability in lane. Having the extra pots just allows you to take a lot of poke, and he's not really taking much. TJ not having a bunch of effect with this Gnar despite the range advantage.
That being said, the range advantage is giving him... He's only up 6 CS, but that's a whole wave already after only being on the 4th wave.
Yeah, that's true, but with just 250 health, he's kind of in danger of being killed if one of these combos comes through for Tygoon. So, playing on a knife's edge is TJ as the level up hits for Tygoon. He's chasing forward here, gets the Bellows Breath. One slam will do it, and there it goes. TJ falls. Now Vaperto potentially in trouble here. Puts up that W to buy some space. Abysmal very low. Frostbite flashing forward, looking for it. Does get it and gets the Feat of Warfare as well. Now Paradoxical kind of alone against 3. That'll be the end of that for now, at least. No, Chicken looking for more. Poro very far forward as
Frostbite Ghost.
Pops the Ghost, looking for it with the E. One more auto will give him the stacks for it, and he gets it, but it's in exchange for his life, as now DDS has 1, looking for 2, another double kill perhaps. In the middle lane though, Vaperto gets a good stun against the wall. There's fighting left, right, and center here, Lakey.
Rakan actually making it out. I was going to say, that looks like just another 2 for 2. Ezreal's going to be 4-0, but he does survive. So now both AD carries are at 3 kills. However, just the way things are playing out, Ezreal is up, or has double his CS, is up about 3 waves in minions.
Yeah, DDS doing quite well for himself down here and continuing to just pressure in Frostbite. Abysmal potentially in trouble here as the flash slam comes through. Gonna get bombed and will get stopped by the steadfast presence of Etoe. Gets a kill deep in the enemy jungle here for a 5-minute invade.
I'm already not disappointed in the action we're seeing at this point in this game even. And stuff is happening to the... It's almost like last game to the point where it's like, I don't know... I'm already almost at the point where I don't know what to talk about in terms of maybe how players are thinking macro-wise because it's just fighting.
I mean, I guess we can talk about the early objectives that are spawning, but Paradoxical's in trouble, forced to use that claw defensively as Chicken just comes in out of nowhere. Doesn't matter that Frost is 18 CS down, he still fights.
Absolutely. He's got those Berserker Greaves and Longsword just like so his attacks, he's already attacking fast and they do a bunch of damage.
Speaking of CS differences though, let's zoom back in on this jungle. 24 CS advantage, that's 6 camps for Vaperto right now. As we're seeing the Drake started by the Mingos, this is very aggressive. Poro's quite low, Abysmal was late to this, and Frostbite's here on the flank. Finds Paradoxical early, is going to get rooted up, but it doesn't matter. Frost already has 1, looking for 2 now on to DDS. The damage very low, but Ventro flashing forward, gets the death ray and gets 2, and that's going to be the Drake as well, as a 3-for-0 sweep on the bot side of the river. Okay,
yeah,
sure.
I think at this point I'm a little bit questioning on the decision of the Mingos to go for that dragon. Poro was half HP. They're already a little bit behind with their jungler being 0-3. Their only strong member who was there is the Ezreal, versus things like a Rakan Twitch and a Vel'Koz who gets first roam and a Poppy who can do CC and damage. So a little bit of a questionable decision.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little worried here as TJ's in trouble. The Ornhorn comes through, and that's a bonk for Tygoon. Now Zolfer in trouble, will get stunned up against the wall, and that's the CC chain, gonna take him down. Ventro getting a 3rd. And we talked at the start of the game about Abysmal needing to get in early, needing to really affect the bot half of the map. And as we look, yeah, sure, DDS is 3-1, but Ventro 3-0, Frostbite 4-2. The carry's already well and truly online for KOI, and I'm running out of hope real quickly here.
You're almost at the point where you're like, GG game 3?
I really am thinking about it.
I will say, granted, last game, one team who started very far behind, well, they did lose at the end, was able to catch up and, I mean, made the game go long and the gold lead switch back and forth. So, kind of hoping, personally, I'd love a longer game where people can actually reach item breakpoints and see like an actual like good team fights versus just stomps. But, I mean, we'll see.
And time will tell. TJ going in aggressive here, but didn't know that Vaperto was in the area. This could be his death spelled once again. Uses the Gnar to buy some time, but it will not be enough as slowly, painfully, the KOI team chases down this Gnar for the 3rd time. And now Tygoon off to the races as well.
Good on Frostbite to not just go and show himself immediately, because Abysmal was just sitting there waiting for something to happen, and they spot him out before they engage too far.
Yeah, and it's a little unfortunate that Abysmal is so far behind, because that would have been a great opportunity to set up a dive. As Chicken takes a lot of damage out of nowhere, but Frostbite opening up with the spray and pray, trying to find Paradoxical here, gets him very, very low, but DDS still mostly untouched on the front side, finds one, Arcane shifting forward, wants to find Frostbite here. The W is powerful, getting those stacks up, but it's not enough. No Expunge comes out, and that's a double kill for DDS.
Now, I don't want to say he's trolling, but I think Chicken is trolling a little bit.
Explain your thought there.
Poro was already way out, and his AD carry is out of juice. His ult's gone. He's kind of Ezreal still has everything, and he doesn't even click the Rakan W on the Ezreal. He jumps past him, somehow looking for Poro. At least in my mind, that's what he was doing, and just dies for free because of it.
Yeah, I agree. It was a big overstep from Chicken. And TJ's dead again because this Nard doesn't get to exist.
While I would normally say this is a Gnar favored matchup, Ornn, if he gets ahead, I mean, he does do damage. He has been called the old AD AP tank assassin before.
On the bot side, though, Poro's dead and Zulfer's in trouble. Frostbite taking a lot of damage from DDS, who flashes forward to get the last auto. Can't quite find it. Chicken does go down, but now Frostbite on the wrong side of the map as Tygoon looking to pick off Abysmal here. Health bar is very, very low up there as Frostbite. Is he looking to get an execute? No, he's looking to back. This is incredible, but he'll go down. Alright. Sure. We're at 20 kills again. Why not, right, Lakey?
Or 2 kills per minute. You know, we love to
make that a little bit more.
He's doing math!
Sulfur's in trouble. Voperto looking to get the slam. Will pull him out of turret range and pick up the kill once again. Now 14 kills for this KOI squad. And Paradoxical might be in trouble as well. The stacks of that passive for Vel'Koz doing work on Poro, but not quite enough, and they'll let him be for now.
I'm always impressed by Vel'Koz who can actually do stuff. Like, he hit the Q, R, and then reactivates his Q at the angle to hit it while he's R'ing. Ah, so cool.
Oh, DDS in trouble. This is just going to get worse as Chicken now flanking Zulfer, looking to find the extended fight. Poro in trouble on the backside as Ventro has shown up. They might be able to turn more and look for the Drake as Chicken goes in, gets the knockup on 2. The J4 ultimate will not be enough to secure any kills as Voperto survives. That's another 3-0 here on the bot side.
Yeah, game might be over. Oh!
Hey, there's a return kill.
DDS looking to solo carry this game for his team. Oh no.
Oh, the prediction the wrong way. And TJ gets out by the skin of his teeth, having leashed that 4th Grubling over to the KOI squad. Oh my goodness, Ventro now in trouble in the mid lane going low as Frostbite getting picked off between his own turrets. DDS picking that one up as Chicken maybe looking to do something here under the turret as Poro and DDS sort of half-heartedly dive him. DDS has more than enough damage to finish the job though. This Ezreal at 9-2 is so strong and he'll get first turret as well here as an extra bonus. Meanwhile now though, in the river, Voperto couldn't secure the Drake, couldn't do much to stop that, but he's trying to get some kills. This Abysmal is 2 levels down, 10 camps, and just utterly struggling to find any footing here out of the jungle against Voperto.
Gold, honestly, surprisingly close considering what has been going on, and all of that is in the bot lane. Almost 3k gold lead for DDS, given his CS lead and his 9 kills.
Yeah, the only shining light on this Mingo squad, who is unfortunately having a real rough time of it. Poro in trouble once again, taking a bunch of damage from the trigonometry, is up top. Tygoon has made himself a problem. Already at 2 full items, just chasing down whoever he pleases. He's not afraid of the turret, he's not afraid of anything, but he might want to be afraid of Abysmal, who has that Cataclysm and will get the shutdown here on the top side.
Yeah, this Ezreal doing damage, and he almost has his. He's at 2 items, and the Manuna is almost done stacking.
Yeah, he will get scary poking folks out around these turrets. We've already seen what he can do against Chicken and Frost. Just diving in fearlessly, taking them deep under the turret and getting out alive. TJ looking for Frostbite as well. Misses the Gnar into the wall though, and that'll be enough for Frostbite to survive. If he threw him just a little bit more towards the Krug Pit, that was a very dead rat.
Absolutely.
Mid turret falling here as well in favor of the Mingos. The pressure from Ezreal is just keeping them alive here despite all work from KOI. They've got the bot side of the map fairly well under control. Wouldn't be surprised to see DTS even look to rotate towards the top side to take out that outer turret as well, just for the heck of it.
Now I'm going to take back my game over statement, being that the Mingos now have the gold tied, and in fact, for a short minute, they were actually in the lead, and they're up 100 gold right now. Able to really come back after being at a pretty thick deficit starting out.
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate part is that it's entirely on the Ezreal, as Sulfur in a little bit of trouble here. The Ornhorn coming down, but he's going to be able to get out okay. But if any fight goes poorly and the Ezreal goes down first, then suddenly they're in a 3,000 gold deficit, and they no longer have capacity to win fights. However, Ventro getting chased down ever so slowly here. The flash out of the Cataclysm is great, but it's not going to be enough as the Flag and Drag takes him down in exchange for Rift Herald on the top side.
Yeah, KOI getting that Rift Herald does end up giving them... Oh, into the Ornn Pillar! Okay, that was cool, but I don't know if it... Yeah, Ornn's dead. Or not? He lives?
Yeah, Foro and Zulfur don't have much damage right now. Only the Seraph's Embrace for the Orianna means that without the Ezreal on their back, they can't cut through this big tank. However, we can see what all of that pressure topside is going to cost them. It's the tier 2 in bot, and potentially in mid as well. Look at your minimap. Yeah, DDS chunking away at that real quickly. Not quite going to pick it up, but it's only a matter of time before that turret falls.
Yeah. Another banger game.
Mm, 29 kills in 17 minutes. Both these teams just absolutely throwing everything at the wall once again. And despite the massive kill advantage, despite the great start for the top side that KOI had, they're still starting to fall behind in tempo and pressure. What do you think they need to change here as they're moving forward to make use of their additional kill threat and actually take back control of the map here?
I think they need to start, like, actually pressuring objectives and taking fights as a team, because that's how they were winning early, is they had man advantage in places, and they had good setup instead of kind of getting pulled around, because I do feel like they've kind of been getting pulled around for the last 5-10 minutes or so.
They've been playing very reactively, which is not something that you need to be doing while you're playing from ahead, but I do like this, getting aggressive positioning here on this Drake, looking to fight for it. Forcing the flash out of Chicken early is less than ideal for KOI, though. The Ornhorn coming down on the backside only lands onto Abysmal. That's not a great engage to start this fight off. Tygoon is trapped and alone on the backside. The Keeper's Verdict only throws one away as Paradoxical buying a bunch of time on the front. DDS already has one. DDS looking for more. Paradoxical is the first to fall for Mingos, but it may not be enough as DDS is untouched on the backside. Gets 2, gets 4 now. It's just Vaperto left running for the hills. The ping's coming down onto the Drake from the dead members, but the living ones don't care. They want the ace, and they will do anything to get it here. Unfortunately, they don't succeed, and that means that they're not necessarily going to be able to get this Drake before KOI can reassemble.
Now, I will say, despite his 0-5 stat line, TJ Lanier doing so much work there to keep specifically Frostbite from being any real impact in that fight. He was not able to. Ooh.
Oh, neither jungler wanted that Drake, apparently. As DDS going over the wall very aggressively is maybe going to get blown up here. The barrier putting in work for him as those Qs are just tearing through Chicken and Ventro's health bar. Not quite enough, though, as he will eventually fall here. But still, they got the Drake, and they got a one-team fight once again.
Yeah, and like as I was saying, despite the stat line, TJ Lanier just making so much space to prevent the, like, I mean, besides the Vel'Koz main damage dealer of KOI from really being able to participate in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. However, Zulfer, you're not allowed to push up, my friend. Don't do this. And that we all saw that one coming, but the trade for it is going to be the Ruinous here. So that extra 25% on the singular Ocean Drake that they have is going to make it harder to kill TJ and especially Abysmal here as they get tankier into these later fights.
We'll say though, Ornn ticks level 14, which means he does have his first ornament to give. Where would you personally like to see this ornament going to?
I think you give it to Ventro. Ventro has been doing a great job positioning defensively, has been very impactful in fights, and just will make better use of it than anybody else. I think Frostbite is a close second, but still, the Vel'Koz has the win here as Chicken charging in pretty aggressively here to get that Rift Herald off, but does get out okay.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that read on where the first ornament should be going, especially because I do think Frostbite does eventually want to lean into like a third or fourth item IE, which is a very strong upgrade, and just because of how much extra AD that gives, and might be what he would want upgraded versus like the Bork or the Runins. So giving it to the Ludens on Ventro or even the Horizon Focus for more CDR and AP feels really strong.
Well, as we wait to see what Tygoon does, the question becomes, looking at these neutral objectives spawning almost synced in 2.5 minutes, both the Drake and the Baron, we see the Mingos starting to put good deep vision around this topside jungle, looking to control the Baron pit first and foremost. How do you feel about that focus? As
gives his first one to the
Voperto.
Dead Man's Blade on Voperto, yeah.
That's a choice as Chicken goes down. Tygoon now in a bit of trouble being the focus here from BDS. However, Great Keeper's Verdict keeps him alive for now, and now Abysmal in a little bit of trouble, down under 1,000 health. But the members are returning. The Cataclysm buys a ton of time as TJ gets it onto Tygoon. Now jumping forward onto Ventro, going to take this Vel'Koz out is DDS over the top as TJ still chasing those kills. Frostbite looking to find something here on the back end, maybe clean up a couple of these kills and prevent the push from continuing. However, he's in a dangerous spot as DDS still fairly healthy and could wipe him out in a second. So, going to be the end of that fight with just a few more kills in the pockets of the Mingos.
Absolutely. It was looking good for a moment with the Vel'Koz ult and Twitch kind of getting his ult hits on multiple people, but Twitch really doesn't have much damage right now.
You can't do that, man. Gotta back in safe places.
Yeah,
Rule number 1 of League.
Absolutely. Poro backing in that spot does give him another death. Now, yeah, as I was saying, unfortunately, Twitch just really doesn't have that much damage at this point in the game quite yet. With the pickaxe, probably looking towards something like the IE next. But I'm trying to think. Unless he opts for something, because pickaxe also goes into Rageblade. If he wants to go for a more attack speed oriented, we'll see.
DDS getting a lot of damage there into his face. Nearly gets picked off, but just barely able to escape as the Ornhorn is blown early as well. But this puts the Mingos at a severe disadvantage for this Drake fight. DDS still very low, needs to get back, needs to heal, but Zolfer with a great ultimate is going to help pick up the first onto Ventro. That's the big target already gone as Poro buying a lot of time in the front with that Glacial Tomb. Frostbite does eventually pick them up, but it's a little bit too late as TJ now tearing through the backside, picking up 2 kills very quickly, and DDS, without any other damage dealers to threaten him, feels safe to jump forward again with that arcane shift and make himself known. Tygoon falls to that Ezreal, and suddenly the Drake is once again in the control of Mingos.
That look. Part of me thinks that, like, taking the chunk on Ezreal and almost letting him back to just then do the dragon instead of taking the extended fight would have been the better decision.
Oh, TJ. That was disgusting. Single-handedly dueling the Poppy here, keeping her away from the Drake. Does fall in the end, but that's a worthwhile trade, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Mingos definitely, though, playing on a bit of a knife's edge here with the way that they're handling DDS when he gets chunked out. It hasn't punished them so far, but he is so deeply responsible for their success that it just freaks me out intrinsically when they don't treat him like a fragile vase.
There's the Bork upgrade for Twitch.
Here. Yeah, Frostbite's very, very low, and is going to fall here as DDS flashes forward to get that last auto attack, and now they've got KOI on the defensive. Abysmal chasing in hard. TJ has respawned and is TPing in, looking to re-engage this fight, but KOI backing out, perhaps. It's time for the Mingos to return their focus to the Baron they were starting before.
Vimstat putting a curse on the Mingos in Twitch chat.
We'll have to see how strong Vim's curses are here, because right now, given the switch in tempo that we've seen since about the 15-minute mark, it does feel like the Mingos are well and truly in control of the game at this point.
Absolutely. Twitch really does need to hit this next breakpoint of the IE to, I think, start actually being a damage threat, but he...
can't hit the damage threat when you're dead.
Yeah. And I really do think that has become the main downfall of this draft, is that Frostbite, while they did draft things like Poppy and Ornn and Rakan, has not really... It feels like he's still playing frontline Twitch, and he just keeps getting caught at the start of fights.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing aggressive because he is the big carry right now, and he has to be. As fights on both sides of the map, the Ornhorn coming down, but TJ doing a great job of buying space for Poro. As the top side of the map just getting absolutely shredded. Tygoon is going to fall, mostly courtesy of an Ezreal ult from the top side, as Paperto looking to pick up something on the way out. Zolfer very, very low, but the turret shots won't do it. It's a double kill for TJ, and now it's just Frost left for 15 seconds. He can't quite find Zolfer, trying to put shots into DDS, but does he have the damage? The answer is going to be no, and DDS survives! It's an ace here for the Ezreal, and now 2 inhibitors are going to fall before the Mingos pull away.
Vimstat's curse not appearing to work out. Abysmal staying while the rest of his team leaves, trying to get this. He does get the tower, burns flash. He gets out, I think. I don't know if they can catch him.
Yeah, Ventura just doesn't have the speed to stay attached to him like Chicken does, so that'll be a free Nexus turret here just because of a little bit of greed from Abysmal. It doesn't matter, right? They're up 10k gold. Abysmal doesn't really have to exist as long as he presses R long enough for TJ to get a good ult on.
Absolutely.
goodness here. Lakey, this is an incredible game. What are we looking at? 58 kills in 29 minutes. We're still at that 2 kills per minute mark that these guys have held for the entire series.
Absolutely, and I can't help but notice in chat, in classic Mingo style, surrender vote was thrown up, to be quickly declined, but something that definitely fits with the way they exist as a team.
And there's no better way to win than to make your opponents lose the mental game. Jokes aside, Abysmal is taking a ton of poke here, just over the wall from Ventro. They're looking for an angle as Horo goes in, gets the 2. Zolfer with the beautiful ultimate to lock down the Vel'Koz, and this should be the end of the game. So Ferto on the run on the backside. Horo may be going down, but Frostbite in trouble against the mid-Nexus. Will fall to the Orianna as well. It's just Tygoon, and the Ornn cannot save this Forge. Going down into the Nexus, trying to drag someone into the laser, will not do it. It's an ace for DDS, and that will be a clean 2-0 series for the Mingos as they want to kill Chicken again. I don't think they're going to get it.
Does not look like it. And that brings our series to a very competitive, hard-fought 2-0.
Not quite how I expected this game to go from draft here, Lakey. I really did think that we were going to see a bit more from Abysmal in the early game, trying to drive this team forward, but even despite Jarvan not getting that aggression that he wanted, DDS just threw the team on his back and said, I will take you to heaven.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, Ivis, when you left at 10 minutes, KOI was ahead. They were looking really good in the early game, but just like in the midst of those trades early game where they were getting ahead, they were also giving DDS gold, and DDS was able to just, with that gold, build a stronger and stronger lead, and really did carry the team on his back despite the early game losses elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot to break down in this game. It's just, at the end of the day, the Mingos won the fights that mattered. Again and again and again, because neither of these teams wanted to take their foot off the gas for more than a quarter of a second.
Absolutely. Definitely can say this is the bloodiest series that I've seen so far this season. Coming out of both the Mingos, who are known to be a very just fighty team, as well as the previous winners of BTL 2 seasons ago. So definitely a very interesting series. Does end up with Mingos getting a 2-0, but it wasn't an easy 2-0. While they did kind of stomp the last couple fights of each game, these games were hard fought through early and mid into the late game.
Absolutely. KOI forced these guys to earn every step of the way. But at the end of the day, it's still a 2-0 for Mingos, who hold their undefeated record high.
Now, we've been, at least on my cast so far this season, we've been doing some interviews for MVP. Who this series would you say you're going to place as the MVP for the Mingos?
You know, I'm of two minds about it. Because on the one hand, DDS absolutely is the only reason that they stayed in this game long enough to win it. But on the other hand, that game one was just wholly through the mid lane.
Absolutely.
So what do you think, Lakey? Where are you feeling?
Now, just because of how these games have been going,
I almost have forgotten what draft was game 1. And who was playing? What was Zulfer playing first game?
Game 1,
Ari. Was it Ari?
Zulfer was playing the Ari.
Yes,
Yes.
Ari. Um, I agree. I think overall series wise, while game 1 he didn't perform as well, or he performed though not as How do I word this? He performed both games, but really was the star in the second game. I think I have to give it to DDS.
All right. Well, let's step aside for a couple minutes, see if we can get DDS in here for a quick interview, and we'll be right back.
DDS, is Guy available? Is there a way you can drag DDS into our chat? Do you have the power to do that?
Sure do. Give me just a moment. Well, I thought I did.
Uh-oh.
Etoe.
Etoe! DDS, if you can hear us, if you could hop down into temp casting, we can join you down there for sure.
Okay. Well, DDS, welcome to the desk and congratulations on a second week win here for Mingos. In
Thank you very much.
aggressive fashion.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's like how we used to be.
Just throwing yourselves at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, kind of just playing fast in all lanes.
Absolutely. Both games very bloody. Was that kind of just your guys' game plan to just fight permanently, or was that kind of just how it ended up happening with how both teams were playing?
I mean, the rest of my team likes to play more methodically. Well, I mean, not as methodically as other teams, of course, but I don't know. I kind of just start fighting, and then they start to follow me. That's how it ends up being like that.
In both games, you all ended up pretty significantly down to KOI at one point or another. Was there any concern in comms that y'all were starting to fall behind in a way you couldn't come back from, or were y'all confident and calm the whole way through?
I was for sure pretty scared. Like the first game I thought like Viego was just gonna 1v9 it. Like he was pretty strong. But it turns out our mid laner had it on lock, despite my shortcomings in the later game of game 1.
Absolutely. And we noticed both games, even on blue side, you guys were just straight up banning Nefiri. Is that just because you don't? Obviously, very strong pick. Is it just not something that's on your guys' champ pool? So whether or not it's up, you don't want to play, so that's why you're just banning it, or something like that.
Yeah, we're definitely like scared of it. We don't know what it does. We're trying to get our support to play it, but
Support Nefiri.
yeah. But
Okay.
maybe that'll be pulled out next series, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, the Fury definitely very strong. Heading into this week, obviously Knights of Ishtar previous BTL winners. Uh, did that impact your guys' kind of process going into this series, or after watching last week, seeing power rankings, was that something you were less worried about than you might have been?
Yeah, we're kind of less worried about it. I think half of us didn't know. Like I kind of knew. I knew their AD was pretty insane. So I definitely played a little differently around it. But yeah,
So yeah, that's put you guys at 2-0 after week two, heading into the rest of the season, heading into the rest of the rest of I'm not going to repeat myself. Heading into the rest of the season, what's your guys' game plan for getting to the point where you're comfortable in any of these matchups?
I think our main practice is during the games when there's a lot of pressure. Like that's why we like to fight a lot. We just like fight a lot and learn during the game. We don't practice for the game, we practice during the game a lot of the time.
Okay, so do you guys have do you guys do scrims, or is it just very you just come to play and just do solo queue outside of that?
Uh, we did actually scrim this week. They were kind of rough on my behalf, but we might start scrimming a little more. But it's just everyone's schedules are really rough, so it's like hard to get everyone together to scrim.
Absolutely, that's a very real uh, part of just finding time to get practice in. That being said, do you have any shout outs for your team? People you want to say played well, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, first I gotta shout out Glacial Esports for sponsoring this game. They were gonna sponsor a skin that was supposed to be gifted to me, but I think it was delayed a little bit, so I didn't receive it, but I still performed. And also shout out to my 010 Lissandra support. It's something like that.
0-11?
Dang.
11. Here we
Mm-hmm.
fucking go, dude.
Yeah.
Like I carried it.
Oro getting called out here. Good grief.
Yeah, well, thanks for stopping by to talk. Congratulations on the win. I definitely am excited to see you guys play in further weeks. Other than that, I've got nothing else for you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. It's been a lot of fun playing in these leagues.
Cool.
All
Well,
right.
yeah, with that, thanks everyone in chat for stopping by. Thanks for coming to watch and see this absolute uh, bloodbath of a series. I don't think we have a second series tonight because of a reschedule, but you should definitely stop by tomorrow night where we have Cowboys. Oh, that's the only team I know because I'm on the roster. But the Cat Cowboys are playing someone else, and then oh my goodness, let me look at the schedule quick. Yeah, Cat Cowboys are playing Maria's Dungeon, and then Glacial Golems are playing John Pork Jorkers tomorrow night. Uh, so should be a good series. Definitely stop by. Good couple series. With that, we're gonna send it to uh, the void as I turn off the stream. Everyone have a great night. Thanks for stopping by. See you tomorrow.